fellow Christians and fellow kids of missionaries who have been listening to these devotions. This is Remo here again with another devotion. A few weeks ago in our group, we had very strong discussions on homosexuality and how we should be reacting to it. And so therefore this week, this devotion, I picked that as a topic. So before we go into that kind of, into understanding that, let me put two ground real rules as to why I picked this and how I'm going to approach this topic. One, I am not here to defend if homosexuality is right or if it's not a sin or is it a sin, or if homosexuality can be allowed within the church or for that matter within the Christian community. The answer for that to me is very simple. The Bible has been very clear about homosexuality. It's explicit that homosexuality is sin. Just as much as an adulterous lifestyle is a sin, homosexuality is a sin too. Just as much as sin, just as much as pride, just as much as gluttony, just as much as murder is sin, homosexuality is a sin. God abhors it as he abhors every other sin. And so to me, that debate is a non-starter. It's not allowed just as much as any other sin is not allowed for a Christian to engage in or practice. Secondly, when I look at topics that have been very passionately strong, or when the topic has been very passionately dividing communities, and no other topic other than the LGBTQ plus debate has divided the Christian community, or for that matter divided the world so strongly. And every time I wanted to find a biblical answer for that, I've always personalized that issue for my own self. I've always asked this question: what would I do if suddenly I start developing feelings for another man? Or how would I react if my spouse or my children came out as gay? How would God react to that? And that's exactly the question I ask. How would God react to that, and what does God expect me to react to that? And therefore this devotion. And that is going to be the focus of the devotion. How should you and I react to homosexuality? And who better to look for an example than Jesus or God himself to have responded to that question? The passage I'm taking this up is John chapter 4, 1 to 42. For those of you who are good at references, you'd immediately know that's the story of the Samaritan woman. Please remember the background. As a Jew, women had no equal rights, or women had no place equal to a man. Much similar to what it is today. Many of us struggle with patriarchy, and therefore women are always considered second citizen. But in the Jewish culture, it was even stronger. And to add things to the situation, she was not only a woman, she was a Samaritan. She was an outcast which the Jews never had anything to do with. And here we find Jesus going and asking this woman water. And asking that respectfully. It's not even an order, it's not even an arrogant position of I'm a Jew and I'm a man, so therefore it's my right for you to serve me. He asked that to that woman very respectfully. And then we know the story of that follows after that. The woman asks, how would you take water? You don't have anything to draw from. And Jesus goes on to talk about salvation and he being the water of life, which he could offer to the woman. And eventually she ends up going back to the village and bringing other Samaritans. We find that in verse 39, 40, 41, 42, around that place. We find other women, other Samaritans coming to know the Lord. Interesting, the entire conversation, we don't find anywhere Jesus have actually had water. At least the recorder of that incident doesn't record if Jesus had water at all or not. Here's one thing that I'd like to draw. In the entire engagement of Jesus with someone who's an outcast, just as much today we consider homosexual men and women as someone whom we don't even relate to or connect to as outcasts. Some of us are so angry about them and are so scared about them. We tend to put them as outcasts. In the same way, Jesus is dealing with another woman who is an outcast and who is a woman in the Jewish context with love and respect. And I think that's what our response needs to be for people who are practicing homosexual lifestyles. Our response to them should be foundationally love and foundationally respect. Jesus respects them. Jesus loves them. Who are we not to? Secondly, Jesus' entire engagement with the Samaritan woman was about the Samaritan woman. Please remember, Jesus was thirsty. It was about noon when he asked for water after having been on a walk, and he asked for water. And Jesus focuses on the woman, not on his thirst. And because Jesus loved and respected the woman, She ended up taking the gospel to her entire community. If you and I choose to love people living in homosexual lifestyles, if you and I choose to share the gospel to them as Jesus shared the gospel to the Samaritan woman, imagine the communities that we will be bringing to God. And I think that's the second lesson we need to learn. Our response in a relationship with a person of homosexual lifestyle needs to be a response of about them, not about us. A lot of our arguments against homosexuality is about protecting our own identity, protecting our own spirituality, protecting our own holiness. And in that argument, we tend to forget that we are losing serving Christ or introducing Christ to them. My dear brothers and sisters, may I encourage you? The world is becoming definitely very perverse, and there are a lot more men and women who choose to lead a homosexual lifestyle. And this is no longer confined to outside the church or in the peripheries. Even within the church, there are many men and women who are struggling with homosexuality. Some who are struggling with a feeling of attraction to the same sex. And how do we respond to that? I would strongly recommend a book called Single Gay Christian by Gregory Coles, where he beautifully argues his own lifestyle as to how he struggles with his desire for other men and how he chooses to lead a life of holiness despite knowing that he's no longer attracted to a woman but attracted to a man. He doesn't. It's a beautiful book on how God would treat a person of who chooses to live a celibate life. My dear brothers and sisters, let us choose to love and respect anybody who claims to be a homosexual. And also let us work towards presenting Christ to them just as Jesus presented himself to the Samaritan woman. God bless us in this journey, and God bless us as we make our decisions in loving others whom we don't understand.